how did the whole scene just play out?
It was so a friend of mine, Chris, who happens to be a writer on highlights with IK. Chris is a dear friend. I reached out. I was like, hey, how about you be IK's Uber driver? You know, and for me that was just exciting because I mean there are a lot of things that I've tried, you know, a lot of things I've done in life. My father taught me how to drive at an early age. I don't know why he did, but he did, and I'm thankful he did.
Oh, you don't know when he did?
I don't know why he did, but he did. Yeah, you know. So I've always loved driving, you know, and playing golf, and so any opportunity to drive, and then my father taught me to drive with a stick shift, like a manual car, yeah. And so for me, just like you know, whenever something involves me having to do that, like it's exciting. It's me out of my usual elements. So. When he reached out to me and said, you know what, how about you be an Uber driver for IK? I was like, oh, nice. Well, I'm sure even IK himself was shocked.
Of course, I'm sure.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I totally enjoyed it.
Yes, and your fans, we that watched it at home, of course, we had fun. And everybody was glued to the screen from the beginning. That's in the office when I played it. I was like, guys, you need to see this. I didn't tell them what I was going to show them, but I was like, you need to see this. And we all shouted at the at the end of the video. So guys, please feel free to send in your questions. We'll be talking about a lot of stuff today. Cobhams is here. Yeah, I have been waiting for this opportunity, and I'm grateful to everyone who has made it possible to bring Cobhams here today. So Cobhams, I have to ask this. How does your day start? Like, you wake up in the morning, being the superstar that you are, how does it start?
I don't know about being a superstar. I wake up in the morning.
No.
I wake up in the morning.
Don't
That's a kettle of fish for another day.
Okay.
I wake up in the morning. Okay, once upon a time, I used to be here. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, man, I'm late. Because there's like, you know, 1 million things to do. And so I wake up in the morning and meditate. It depends on whether or not I have like a brief, something to write. If I have a brief, then I kind of focus on it. But I think the first thing I do when I wake up is pray. And I spend some time just, you know, focusing on, you know, just my creative assignments for the day. You know, I chat with my wife. Both of us can talk for Africa. So, you know, we talk, and then she always leaves home before me because I get to just lounge a little bit and leave later. So I take it easy, go downstairs, have breakfast, play the piano, watch some CNN. What else do I do? And then I head out to the studio. The studio is usually a fun place for me. You know, my guys are like really chill, really easy. You know, we have a lot of fun just making music. So we get creative, and I make music till like, you know, till the next day sometimes. Yeah, wow. Sometimes maybe till nightfall, and I come home, I hang out with David. You know, we play.
That's your son, right?
Yeah, that's my son. We play and chat, and I play the piano for him, and he plays for me, and all that good stuff.
Oh, he plays.
Yeah,
I wouldn't expect anything less.
Yeah, he's learned how to play a little bit. So yeah.
Okay, so
I'm very. So it's, you know, my work, my family, my God. Yeah, I think that's kind of how I live my life.
So those under those three tenets, your work, your family, and God.
Yeah, I mean, there's, you know, all the other, you know, nice things that happen every now and again. I have amazing friends. We get to hang out every now and again. You know, I go out to perform sometimes. That's usually very exciting. I love to travel. So, yeah, I get to do that often. And I'm really, really excited about that. Yeah. So.
Guys, thank you very much for joining me once again. Cobhams has just revealed how he starts his day, which I feel everyone should follow with his God, his family, and his music. And politics.
Yes, and politics is building up. Everything in time. Everything in time.
Everything
yes,
in time.
We're getting there.
Okay.
We're not there yet, as far as that goes. That's me being ambitious, and that's definitely one of the things I'm interested in.
Okay, so guys, I don't know if you know this, but Cobhams has been in the game for a while. I just watched the video for Question Mark, the song everyone did together, where you were talking.
Question Mark All Stars.
Yes, that song, and I remember because I was quite little, but not as little as. But you understand, watching that video again, I was very, very happy because I just realized that man, Cobhams has been around for a long, long time. How did you start in the game? How did you get into the game? Because I understand you studied law.
Yeah, I was studying law, and then I opted out for music. How did I come into music production? Yes. So it started with me getting into music by puffing my cheeks and playing the 12-bar blues when I was about, maybe 6, 7. You know, and I used to do that.
Come on, 6?
It was, yeah, so I'd walk around the house doing, and this is kind of ugly, guys. So as I walk around the house doing, And then I'd lock myself up in like the bathroom and whistle like.
Okay.
And you know, I liked it. I wanted to play saxophone, but I wanted to play the saxophone, but obviously I couldn't afford one, so my whistle became my saxophone. So I made music, and then I started playing for the church. You know, I was playing for the Catholic Church in the Ikeja Military Cantonment when I was about 9, and then it just kind of progressed from there on. I started playing small time jazz when I was about 14. Then I told somebody I could produce, and I'd never really produced in the studio before. I'd worked with keyboards, obviously I knew a little bit about MIDI. And he was like, okay, so come and produce my songs now. And I was like, yeah, what have I gotten myself into? Anyways, I went into the studio, figured out how it worked, and started making music from there on. And then I was making music, and then one day I ran into Big Bamo, who, you know, I remain eternally grateful for, because he decided to take a chance with me when most people wouldn't. Because I was really young, you know what I mean? And you know, I was talking to him, and I told him I made music and I produced and all that, and they took a chance with me and decided that I should, you know, do a song for them. So I made this song then titled Catch Cold. And
I'm sorry, hold on, I have to stop you right there. You produced Catch Cold.
Yeah, I did.
Man, that's a bit of history right there, people. You remember that song now? I Catch Cold, Ulumentin. That was Cobhams.
Yeah, when I made Catch Cold, like I was desperate to make music. I was so desperate that it didn't, you know, matter what they paid me. And you know, and they paid me 10K, which, you know, was a big deal by that time. I don't know if anybody had paid me 10K to do, but my manager thought I deserved more, and for that reason didn't think I should take the gig. But I kind of went behind my manager. I was like, you know what, let's just make it happen, you know, because I really wanted to make music. So when my manager found out that I had created that song, my manager actually quit. And I was like,
wow.
Well, and I was like, well, yeah. No, I didn't think good riddance, because I understood the rationale, I understood the heart behind it, but I was just too happy to create music. And then, you know, I went on from then and did Phase Alone, and, you know, worked with Jimmy and did Ego, and all of these interesting songs then began to come out, and, you know, and then, yeah, I guess my music just kind of took off from there on.
Okay, I have to confess, I really did not know about Cobhams until the Asha album came out. You understand? And of course I had heard Ego and all the songs beforehand. So I think I was wrong when I just introduced Cobhams as a producer. I apologize to everyone that has been watching. Cobhams is a legend.
Hey, well, let's keep the interview going.
No,
the guy who has legend behind his name is John. So let's keep the interview going while we're at it.
Okay, so you've worked with Ulumentin and the rest of them.
Oh yes, I have.
Just tell us a
amazing guys.
Guys you've worked with. I don't want you to list everybody. You understand? But the ones that stood out to you, I'm sure everybody stood out to both.
Yeah, I've worked with a ton of people. I mean, guys that I'm really grateful that, you know, they, you know, let me be part of their career. So yes, obviously the likes of Ulumentin and Rooftop MCs from the early days, you know, and Phase, obviously Two-Face, Timaya, Banky W, Amaomi, Waje, Timi Dakolo, Angelique Ijo, Common, Diamond Platinum, Judith Sepuma, Victoria Kimani, MI, just a host of, yeah, really interesting. Of course, Asha, my homegirl, Banky W, Timi Dakolo, yeah, a couple, and more recently, Korede Bello, you know, I'm really excited about that. Tijan. So I've worked with quite a number of artists in this space and outside of this space.
Yeah, you just threw in Common's name, like, even though he's an international star, he's just one of those guys now. He just
no, he's not one of those guys. He's legendary, and for me, it was just, you know, it was, yeah, that's something I'm definitely proud of. I was recording this song with Somi, titled When Rivers Cry. And then she was like, you know, who do you think should be on the song? And, you know, we just kind of bounced ideas back and forth, and somehow we landed on Common. She was like, I know him, he's my friend. I can call him. And I'm like, what? Common is your friend? Well, I don't have friends like you. Anyways, yeah, so, and then she reached out to him. And yes, I have worked with Bono. I think that's, you know, one of the major ones for me. Bono. And he's such a cool guy to work with. Such a cool guy to work with.
Okay, so guys, thank you very much for joining. I keep saying thank you because I know it's not easy, you know, to just drop everything and keep up with it. But please make sure you do, and I assure you at the end of this interview, you'll be better off for it. So I have to ask this, Cobhams. You've talked about the fact your producing skills are legendary. Everyone knows your pedigree as a producer, but few people know that you sing.
Yeah, well, I sing, yeah. So I've been singing for a while, but it's been on and off. I'm on and off because for a long time I was not comfortable with my own voice, and I think that was one of the things that drove me to production because I hated my own voice. I was just like, what is this? Your voice is cracking all the time, like, and you can't hit certain notes and such and such. But then, you know, in school in Unilag, I had this friend, great friend of mine, OCOKJ, you know, the actor, and he used to sing. He was like, OCOKJ is a fantastic singer, like, amazing singer with all the runs and all of that. Yeah, and so he used to sing, and I just watched his voice improve from practice, and I said, you know what? This guy's voice used to crack like mine, and I watched it improve. So who says that I can't do the same thing? So that kind of made me take up singing a bit more seriously. And you know, over time, I've grown to be comfortable, you know, with my own voice, and yeah, it's sort of allowed me express myself more as a singer.
So you just using your own voice to sing now just makes you more complete. Did you say makes you more complete?
I don't know if I'd say it makes me more complete. I mean, it's an ongoing process. I mean, I'm getting used to it. I'm learning to do it and not be so overly critical, which is usually what I am with my voice, at least.
Oh, okay. Okay. So guys, before we began the interview, I and Cobhams were talking about how he chooses to work with musicians. You understand? We're talking about that. What does he look for in a musician? He shared a couple of, I call them testimonies. One of them, which is Faith Ajuka. Please, if you haven't listened to her, make sure you do so immediately. So, Cobhams, tell our guys, if a lot of questions have come in about what do we need to do? What do we need to do to get the great Cobhams on our song? How will the whole thing happen?
I think there are two things. First of all, you know, there's your opinion about how you sound, but there's everybody else's opinion about how you sound. And for a lot of people I've worked with, half the time they probably don't even realize how good they are, but people just think they're phenomenal. Like I remember one time, you know, sitting sitting at a friend's apartment with Asha, and she was just playing her guitar and singing. And I literally got up and I was like, my goodness, this girl is a star.
This was the first time you met her?
No, this wasn't the first time I was meeting her. I mean, we'd been friends, you know what I mean? We'd been friends for a long time, but you know how you discover your friend even though you've always known them. You just discover, you're like, wow, you know, this person isn't just, you know, there's something special, something different about this person. So for me, I think, you know, can your voice move me? So for instance, you know, Tijan walked into my office at a time when I decided I was going to sign out of mainstream production for a bit and just pay attention to other projects. Okay. And, you know, and I was just like, I don't know if I want to take this on. And the guy sings, and I'm like, you know what? I think we need to get into the studio and record. And we're only just meant to do like one song. And, you know, we did one and then another and then another. And Tijan and I are probably talking about maybe 5-6 songs now. You know what I mean? But you've got to have a voice that I think is convincing. And same thing with Ajuka. You know, she had met me at a concert and had, you know, just expressed her willingness to work with me. And I was like, oh, okay, I hear you, but I'm not really working with people right now, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, a dear friend of hers, who's become a friend of mine now, Mahmoud, came up to me and was like, you know what, just listen to her. Even if that's all you do, just listen to her. And she sang, and I was just totally blown away. And I said to Ajuka, I was like, look, if you ever want someone to do something for you and they say no, as you walk away, just start singing. They'll change their minds. Yeah, so I think for me, I love to know that, you know, you've got that star quality in your voice. Your voice doesn't necessarily have to be the best voice there is. It's just got to have soul. It's got to make people feel a certain type of way when they hear you sing.
Okay, so tell us about your album. Because I know he has, Cobhams has planned, his album, it's done, it's
done, and I'm excited. I'm super excited about my album.
Okay, just walk us through the album, the process, how you got the whole, the title to the cover, because it's a beautiful cover. For those of you who haven't seen it, I think it was shot by Kelechi.
Shout out to Kelechi Amadiobi, he's just the best.
So if you do not know who Kelechi Amadiobi, he's a veteran photographer. He's worked with almost everybody. His name is equal to quality in photography in Nigeria today. So for him to have done Cobhams, the cover of that album, you know that it's going to be the best. So Cobhams, just talk us through this album. Why did you decide to make an album in the first place? Because I remember Don Jazzy, who everybody knows today, has said he doesn't see himself singing or releasing a full project or a compilation of his own songs. Like he is not He's not a musician, but his story is different from yours.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I think Don Jazzy is incredibly talented, and I hope he changes his mind about that one day. Yeah, okay. Because, you know, you kind of feel a certain way about your voice, but that's how you feel. That's different from how other people feel about your voice, and that's what, you know, I've learned over time. You know, that you may not be able to stand your own voice sometimes, but there are people who just think, you know, that your voice is absolutely amazing, and you know, I think Don Jazzy has a very unique voice. But anyway, so I don't know that I wanted to make an album. I just wanted to keep making music for people. But then I'd written these songs that I felt like they needed to find expression, and they needed to find expression through my voice, because, you know, there were stories in the songs that needed to have been told, you know, from a very, very personal, you know, point of view. And that's what this album has done for me. So this album is titled For You. Okay. It's a 14-track album. Okay. You know, some of the songs were written as far back as 2005. And I'm really excited about it because, you know, it's a very honest, very sincere expression of music and love and relationships and just the things that matter to me. So it's a very, very personal, very intimate, very, very personal project. You know, just, you know, the nature of it. You know what I mean? And I feel like, you know, I was bearing my heart out like no holds barred. I was just being me on the project. So I'm really excited about it. It's dropping on the 12th of March. It's already available, you know, for pre-order on iTunes. Yeah. It's going to drop on Music Plus, on iTunes, Apple Music, everywhere. Yes. And then we're having, you know, live copies out, you know, about a week later or so. So it's a very, very, I'm personally excited about it because, I mean, if you've listened to, say, Ordinary People, for instance.
Okay, guys, thank you for keeping it with us. Thank you for watching. We have Cobhams Asuko in the house. We've been having a wonderful discussion. We've talked about a lot of stuff, and I'm sure those that have been watching, even the new guys, must have learned something. So going further, Cobhams, I have to ask, your genre of music, your preferred genre, leans towards, I wouldn't want to put you in a box, which I don't even think I can do. You understand? But if I was to generalize it, I would say leans towards the alternative side. We have bits of R&B and the rest of that, and jazz. You've done it all. But now, knowing now that you've worked with Olumentin and the let me use commercial guys with Ebonies, you understand? But why did you just decide to make you told this path that you're following?
I don't know that I've told any specific path. I make music depending on who I'm making music with or who I'm making music for. So, for instance, if you listen to, you know, the stuff that I've created with Banky W, you know, there's a bit of pop and R&B, you know what I mean, in Strong Thing or Yes No or High Notes for that matter. If you listen to stuff I've created with Timmy Dakolo, there's, you know, a bit of ballad, and, you know, with Amaumi, I've done everything from reggae to pop to, you know, in the music has a bit of the South African Kwaito vibe. You know, with Somi, I've done jazz, you know, so I just make music. So this is how I feel about music. I feel like there's a sound, you know, for every song. And what I try to do is interpret the right sound for the right song and not necessarily put it in a box. I think that just because we're looking for how to categorize, you know, a lot of the times we put music in, you know, boxes that they don't necessarily fit in. So for me, I like to create music. I like to create music.
As it comes, depending on the musician.
Exactly.
Okay, because you mentioned Somi, and you mentioned that earlier. I just remembered I heard a song of ours. I think it was titled Juju.
Oh, yeah.
You produced that?
Yeah, myself and a great friend of mine, his name is Keith Whitty. Yeah, we worked on Somi's album together. So yeah, we produced the Lagos Music Salon together, which is a very exciting album to work on.
Wow, that's amazing. For those who don't know Somi, I know she's African, or she's based in New York.
She's based in New York. She's an amazing singer who's put out quite a number of albums that have been well received. Yeah, and she's just amazing. She's amazing. She's an amazing singer.
On your own album, for you, what should people expect? That's why I asked the question about the genre, the part you're touring. You understand? Because people once people have this image in their head that once you mention the name Cobhams, they just automatically imagine you behind the piano.
I think you should expect me to be honest on the album. I think that, you know, so the album is an expression of, you know, the relationships that matter to me, and for me, the relationships that matter to me, you know, are, you know, God, family, and people. So Yeah, there's going to be quite a bit of God talk on it, probably enough to make some people uncomfortable. There's definitely going to be quite a bit of people talk on it because obviously we've got to be better people, and you know, you'd find that kind of expression in like ordinary people. So I think it's just me making music that I'm excited about, that I like, and that, you know, I think, you know, there's a silent majority out there, you know, just waiting and ready to receive and enjoy.
Okay. People usually put you. They don't know whether to put you as a gospel musician or a secular musician based on the kind of music you have made for others in the past. And I know you addressed this topic recently, I think on Instagram, where you talked about the fact that you were a Christian. And could you just shed more light on that? Because people feel there is a very thin line between gospel music and secular music.
I think I'm a Christian who is a musician, and I think that that's the most important thing. You know, you can be you can be anything you like. So, for instance, you know, we don't go around looking for Muslim plumbers or pagan bus drivers, or yeah. So, I quite honestly, I don't see any reason why, you know, that should be a matter of contention for anybody. Okay. You know, we all have, you know, the agnostics. There are all kinds of people who have all kinds of, you know, we're able to coexist and, you know, cohabit or cohabitate, I don't know what the correct word is right now, you know, easily. And so for me, I'm proud of my faith. You know, I'm not afraid or ashamed to express it. But you know, I'm also a musician, and so if I make music that expresses my faith, then so be it. You know, if I make music that expresses love or life or what the world is, you know, about right now, you know, then so be it. So I think the most important thing for me is, you know, that this, you know, Christianity for me is my way of life. That's who I am. And there are many musicians out there who, you know, are Christians. And I mean, for the love of Jesus, Justin Bieber is a Christian musician. You know what I mean? Say what you will of it or of him, but, you know, that's who he is. You know what I mean? So you know, Sunny Danger, and I'm not sure if Sunny Danger is a Muslim or a Christian. I like to think he's a Muslim, yeah. You know, and he's who he is, and he's talented, super talented, and, you know, popular, and he does what he does.
Sunny Danger?
No, I haven't. I'd love to though, because I've met him a couple of times, and I think he's talented. You know what I mean? So I think that's who I am. You know, I'm a Christian and I'm a musician. You know what I mean? And until we start looking for Christian bankers and Christian physiotherapists or Muslim tailors or pagan hairdressers or what have you, I feel like I'm in a comfortable place to enjoy and express myself for what I believe in and, you know, what I do. So yeah, I could put out a Christian song tomorrow. That's who I am. You know, I have a right to express myself in that direction, you know, because I believe in it. You know, but I can also put out a song that talks about my wife, or that talks about us being better people in this world, because that's also, you know, important. You know what I mean? So yeah, I do what's important.
That's just the message.
Yeah, I do what's important.
Religion aside.
I don't know if you can really say religion aside, because, you know, if you are who you are, then, you know, what you believe in is a big part of who you are. So yeah, what I believe in is a big part of who I am. It defines how I live my life and how I deal with people, you know, whether it's business or, you know, whatever it is. So I don't know that you can say religion. There isn't a day to stop being who you are or to stop believing in the God that you believe in. Yeah, there is not a belief holiday. Yeah, it's who you are. It's who you are. You know, and it has to come through in everything you do, whether you're a doctor, you know, or you're a mechanic, or you're an internet person, or whatever it is, whatever you do, yeah, what you believe in has to come through, because it shapes you, it defines, you know, your integrity, your standards, everything. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Cobhams. So guys, this interview is organized courtesy 1107 Suites and Apartments. For those of you looking for a nice time around Ikeja and its environs, please just come on down here. The ambience is wonderful, the settings, there's a pool, everything is just very, very cool, man. So please, if you're looking to have a nice time, 1107 Suites and Apartments at Allen, just opposite First Bank. Just ask anybody where First Bank Junction is, and they will point you. It's directly opposite the bus stop. So please just make sure you try your best to come visit us here. So Cobhams, continuing. I have to ask this. What do you think about Nigerian music today? Please bear in mind.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Okay. Yeah, I think that our music is growing. I think that it's growing in leaps and bounds. I think that we've been able to make major strides that you know, is very commendable. I was listening to Beats One a few days ago, maybe a week ago or so, and I was listening to an interview with Zara Lawson, and she was talking about Wizkid on her album being like one of her biggest songs.
Wizkid
And
is
I'm
on
like,
her album?
yeah, Wizkid
Oh,
is on
wow.
her album, you know, and her album drops, I think, on the 17th of March or something like that.
Oh, that's not too difficult.
And I'm thinking, wow, Zara Lawson is talking about Wizkid on her album. Like, what do you know? And she's talking about MNK, you know, and all of these amazing Nigerians who are doing amazing things. So we're here, man, where our music is definitely growing. I think we just need to, the world is paying attention to us right now. And this is a good time for us to tell our story and control, you know, the narrative. So I think that's something we have to be very intentional about how we do. Yes, we have our challenges, you know, copyright and piracy and the value for intellectual property and all that, and regulations and legislation. And these things are important, and we need to have these conversations. And, you know, these conversations, when they're honestly had, is what will determine how we're able to build a sustainable industry, and how the industry becomes fully economically viable. So I think that we need to do all of that. But, you know, but we have to recognize that, you know, with Nigerian industry, the music industry is definitely putting Nigeria on the map in a very, very positive way. You know, all the collaborations, you know, from P Square and Rick Ross to, you know, Wizkid and Drake to, you know, Burna Boy, and just all the, we have a sound that is uniting Nigeria more than many things have attempted to, you know, I've said it several times that the relationship between like Fino and Olamide, for instance, as friends, people who come from, you know, two different ethnic divides, you know, is an exemplary relationship, you know what I mean, for Nigerians. So yeah, we're on our way to something. I think we should just recognize what it is and be intentional about how we drive it.
Okay, so guys, you've heard from Cobhams. Music is a very, very important tool anywhere in the world, you understand? So as Nigerians, we could use music to just bring us together. He made a very, very good example with Olamide and Fino. You understand? But most people are saying they would like Fino and Olamide to go at each other. Like, do you think beef is good for the industry? You know that's the popular saying.
I don't know if it is, because, well, you go at each other and then what you destroy. I think the friendship they have is worth more than any kind of publicity that, you know, beef, you know, would generate. I'd say to yourself, be true, you know what I mean? And what they have is friendship. You know, what's wrong with that? You know what I mean? What's wrong with that? That's amazing. You know, let's celebrate it. And that's the problem. We don't celebrate it enough. And sometimes we get a little desperate because, you know, we want, you know, a bit of show. We want a bit of, you know, we want a scandal to put us out there. And there have been people who have been successful in this industry without necessarily having scandals. I mean, the Banky W's of this world, the Don Jazzy's of this world, you know, have done, you know, amazing things, you know, without putting their names out there. And yeah, I mean, there was obviously the Don Jazzy Olamide situation, but you know, that was a one-off, and you know, that was also promptly settled. So we can't. I don't think as an industry we can thrive on that. You know what I mean? Basketmouth and Bovi, for instance, have an amazing relationship, and that's because, you know, Basketmouth was able to open his doors and his heart and his space. And look at, you know, Bovi today is unarguably one of the most talented and most successful Nigerian comedians. So I think that people need to lift each other up, you know, and I see that happen. And in the spaces where it happens, you know, it's great. You know, I've seen a few other spaces where, you know, actresses are going at each other and all that and all that. And it makes for, you know, good gossip, but that's as far as it goes. You know what I mean? We have amazing relationships I think we should celebrate. Why should we turn it around and start beefing? Like, come on, man, it's not necessary.
Guys, you've heard it. Beef doesn't grow the industry at all. It just lends credence to gossip. And that's what to do for your career as a musician. That's what you think? That's
definitely what I believe. I mean, and feel free to believe otherwise, really. Yeah, but that's my opinion.
Okay, so Cobhams, you work with everybody. And I'm sure as a human being, as a producer, you still have people in mind you want to work with. Just which one of them, which musicians would you still like to get in the studio with? International, Nigerian, anyone?
Well, I mean, there are definitely a few Nigerian artists I would. I haven't worked with Olamide yet. I think that would be exciting. Yeah.
Cobhams and Olamide.
Yeah,
Cobhams and Olamide people.
I'd like to see what you know, what would come out of that.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be great to work with Kiss Daniel.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to see what would come out of that. It'd be great to work with Johnny Drill. You know, I like him very much, and we've collaborated live, but we haven't gone into the studio and made music together. You know, believe it or not, as much as we're friends, and I love everything she does, and we've gotten into the studio a number of times. Oh no, I have worked with her. I wanted to say I haven't worked with Tiwa Savage, but I worked with her on a song. We featured her you know, and Stan Ike. But yes, I'd like to make more music with her. Let's see, who else? Oh my God, there's a long list of people. Yeah, there's a long list of yeah. It'd be great to make music with Coca. It'd be great to make music with Adekunle Gold.
Okay.
I definitely want to make music with Frank Edwards. Let's see. Let's see. I want to make music with Sinach.
Okay.
Yeah, I like her heart. I like her space. I like her truth, her sincerity. I like her space for worship and just So there are a number of people I would like to make music with. I'd like to make some Fuji music as well.
Oh, so
you know, I really was looking forward to making music with Pasuma, but he's making more. He's got a bit of a mainstream. He's obviously his sound is evolving right now, which is a good thing, which is a very good thing, I think. But you know, if I got in the studio with him, I think I'll probably go back to that space. I'd like to. It's something I listen to quite a bit, and I would like to. I definitely want to make music with Shino Peters.
Shino Peters. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Adewale Ayuba. There are a number of people I want to make music with.
Yeah, but you know, I mentioned Small Doctor earlier. I'm sure you know Small Doctor.
Yeah, I know Small Doctor. I think I need to understand him a bit more to want to make music with him. I've heard his songs, but so I like perspective. Okay. I think that's important, and I think that, you know, I need to get a bit more perspective, you know, as far as his sound goes, to be able to create. And then also, I think he's also in a good place with, you know, his sound and what he's doing. I would like to make music with people I feel like, you know, I can add value to their music, and I've listened to and enjoyed their music enough to want to bring my own spin to what they create.
Okay, and listeners, guys, we're having fun in this interview, and we wish we could go on and on and on and on, but please just bear with us. So, Cobhams, tell us about what is happening on March the 12th.
March the 12th is For You album launch, and I'm super excited about that. And we have an exclusive album launch concert that's going to be happening on the 12th of March. I'm really, really excited about that. And then, of course, on the 26th, we have, like, you know, main exposed concerts that's happening at the Peace Center. So I'm excited. I'm actually really excited about that. You know what? Just because I'm feeling generous, the March the 12th concert is exclusive. So tickets are almost not available anymore. And it was, you know, intentionally just sort of meant to be that way, because for a small, very, very small audience. Yes. But myself, of course, because I like Nige.com. I don't know about you just yet.
With all this stuff you have been saying,
but I am willing to give 2 free tickets to 2 people on your platform.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
so.
Wow. So guys, you've heard it. If you
it includes dinner. So there's dinner on me at the concert, and there's great music. Yeah.
Drink.
The food is fresh, man. Shout out to Astoria. It's going to be amazing that day.
Where is this going to happen? You don't want to do it yet?
No.
Okay.
I don't want to. It's somewhere on the island.
Somewhere on the island?
Yes.
Okay. So guys, you've heard of Cobhams. He's offered to give 2 lucky readers, 2 lucky followers, 2 lucky Nige.com lovers the opportunity to come be part of his exclusive album listening for his debut album. Debut album, no?
It is my debut album.
For you. So please make sure. We might even pick from the people that have commented on this post. So you don't know how lucky. So please keep your comment. Even after the video has come to an end, please make sure you drop your comments and your reactions to Cobhams. We have a lot of comments, and believe me, if we start to read everything here, we don't come here today. You understand? So we just have to ask this. As someone who is visually impaired, you understand? Everybody, that's one of the things people know about Cobhams, even though it's not like it's. But how do you? I want to ask, how do you live your life generally? And when you get to the studio, I know it's your own studio, so you already know, you have an idea of where everything is. But how do you do the whole thing? How do you get the sound? How do you know which button is? How does that work for you?
Yeah, so first of all, you know, I think it's important to understand that in any proper studio setting where you have a producer, it doesn't mean that because you're the producer you turn all the knobs. It's like flying a plane. Sometimes you have a captain and a first officer, and sometimes, you know, while you're there feeling very safe and comfy that your captain is flying you, you're probably at the mercy of your first officer. And that's what production is like. So, you know, being a producer is, you know, a big part of it is understanding the technical language, you know, for bringing everybody and putting everybody together and creating that amazing sound. So whether or not, you know, you're a blind person, you can be a fantastic producer with the right engineers in your space. I do that a lot. I mean, there are instances where I, you know, do engineering work myself if I absolutely have to. And so, yeah, because of, you know, the great people around me, I've learned to do, you know, some of the things that are important, you know, like work my Pro Tools or whatever. But this is something that for the most part, I don't necessarily have to do. And so I don't, you know, I don't do. But, I can have my engineers do that. But I mean, I mean, that's the job of a producer. Your job is not to be, that's why you have an engineer. You know what I mean? You have sound engineers who don't really get a lot of credit, but whose job it is to make sure that, you know, all the levels are right and that, you know, things just work seamlessly. And that you, as a producer, you can focus on just integrating all the processes together to create great music. So, you know, that he's Quincy Jones doesn't necessarily mean he's sitting in front of an SSL and turning knobs all day. Yeah.
You know, that's the idea we see when we see producers. We see,
and it's great, and that does happen, and I do that when that's necessary. I'm just saying that, you know, to get it done and get it done right. You know, it's not dependent on only one person. You know, you work with a team if you really want to go far. And I believe very strongly in teamwork, and that's what I do. And I've had amazing engineers who have shaped my music and just moved it in the direction that, you know, it's gone. So, yeah.
Okay, so we have a comment here from, I think, Adiola Urios. She's saying she knows someone who is visually impaired also, and he has plans, he has the hope of going into music professionally. What would you say to that person? Even if he was not doing music, but the fact that he was impaired visually, what would you say to that person?
I'd say it's definitely a great, I'd say it's a great outlet, it's a great space. I'm thankful to God that, you know, I followed my heart and, you know, I went ahead and, you know, even though at the time I didn't know of any blind producers in Nigeria, but, and I'm sure that there might have been, but I just didn't know, you know, of any. But it was a path I was determined to follow, and, you know, I'm happy, you know, I am where I am today. You know, it'd be great to connect with, you know, such a person. I think it'll also be great to find out that the person actually has talent for what they want to do. Because one thing, like I said, is your opinion about how good or how passionate you are about something, and then your ability to operate in your genius zone. So it'd be great to connect, you know, with such a person and find out that this is really what they want to do. And, you know, fortunately, you can avoid certain pitfalls because there are people who have gone ahead of you and discovered that you can do this stuff. I think that, if it's a good time to be blind and be a producer, you know, if you wanted to, because you can be greater. There's the potential to be, you know, 10 or many more times greater than Cobhams, because there's obviously a lot that, you know, I've experienced and I'm also able to share, you know, that would make your journey a lot smoother. Yeah, so I think, yeah, it'd be great to connect at some point.
Okay, so I think we can make that happen. So Adiola, just hold on, we'll get to you very, very soon. Guys, when we began this interview, Cobhams said all he looks for, one of the things, the major things he looks for in a musician or anybody that wants to work with him is the person's talent. You understand? And of course their voice. And I think I mentioned earlier that I'm a superstar in the bedroom. You understand? So I want to audition.
As are the rest of us.
I'm going to audition for Cobhams. Yeah, what I'm trying to say is I want to sing. You understand? Me too. I want to blow. I want to
sing Mr. Trouble.
You understand? So Cobhams, please listen to my voice and tell me if there's hope for me.
And I can be honest, Abby. 100% honest.
You can do that off camera now.
No.
Don't spoil my market.
Well, no, I'm happy on market.
Okay.
So we audition off camera. Okay, do it now. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Can I sing the national anthem?
Absolutely. But you have to stand up to sing the national anthem. Can you sing something else? Because you will make all of us have to stand up. We can't sing our national anthem sitting down.
Let me sing that, okay? That's
fantastic. Please go for it.
Your family. Girl, I make this promise to you. There is nothing that I won't do. Yeah, you see, I'm rapping a bit.
You're singing on the key of Q.
I told you you're going to be cool about it.
No, but I'm being cool about it. Q is a key now.
I told you I have your family.
You have moved to J.
But that's how they do it now. You go higher. Is it higher or low?
You know, I've told you there's something about your own opinion of yourself and other people's opinion of you.
But you know that's what they say now. What
That's just where
you is what to take you far.
Absolutely. How about you fly a plane? Think about flying a plane and fly it.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, fantastic.
guys, thank you very much.
He's a fantastic interviewer. I love that he interviews very well. Let's stick to this for now.
Let's stick to this one. So guys, thank you very much for keeping it there with us. We've had an amazing time with Cobhams. I'm sure you have learned a lot of lessons. I personally have. I really hope you have too. And please, let's not forget that you can always use this opportunity. Take advantage of how big Night.com is on Facebook to place your advertisement with us. If you want your product to sell, you want them to fly as fast as possible, believe me when I say this, not because of anything, but I can assure you that Night.com is the place to be. We are the biggest media house in Nigeria. And if I'm bold to say in Africa in general, that is on Facebook, more than 6 million likes, more than 12 million people reach every single day. Imagine that those numbers at the back of your product. So please, if you're interested, make sure you send a mail to ads@corp.naij.com. That is ads@corp.naij.com. Please, I'm going to repeat it again. It's ads@corp.naij.com. And believe me, watch your market sell very well. Cobhams, thank you very, very much.
Thank you, sir.
And guys, do not forget the album is out. You can pre-order on iTunes everywhere. And Sean, don't buy from the road. If you see, come and report. And please, of course, remember on the 12th, Cobhams is going to be treating the whole of Nigeria, an exclusive group of Nigerians. Let me use that again. Okay.
I did not say.
We are going to have fun on the 12th, and he has promised to give 2 Night.com readers tickets to come to that event. So please, anywhere you go, make sure you support Night.com and make sure you tell your friends about this interview and make sure you talk about Cobhams. I also say it's the future, but everyone knows how big it is. So guys, thank you very much for keeping in touch. And Cobhams, just quickly before you go, just shout out to Night.com readers, followers, everyone that is clicking, that has typed, that has supported the brand Cobhams from the beginning.
So here goes my shout outs. Thank you everyone who's presently listening and watching this. I think you guys are absolutely exceptional. I think you're absolutely amazing. Thank you for joining Nige.com right now and just enjoying this moment. I had a good time reaching out to you, and I believe that you had a good time watching and interacting with us as well. I just want to say this. There are a number of things that keep me moving, and I want to share it with you. I'd say believe, I'd say pray, I'd say love, I'd say do. Those are very important. It's important to love because hate eats you up. It gets in the way of, your positive vibe. I say believe, just about anything can happen to you. I've been in, dire straits, crazy situations, but I've believed myself out of those spaces. I'm a dreamer, so I believe. I dream and I believe. I'd say do. Procrastination is one of our biggest enemies. I've seen, what it can do to people, and I think that if you can just step up and do, it might not be the most perfect, but it's definitely an example and it's a good start. So believe, pray, love, and do, and dream. It's important, guys. Please eat. I'm right now, I'm excited for some decadent, obscenely decadent carbonara. I'm going to look for it. I've been feeling that way since yesterday. Like a chicken carbonara, man. Yeah, with just the cheese and everything all over the place. Hey, I can't wait. All
right, guys, thank you very, very much. Till we bring the next guest to you, please make sure you keep supporting Nige.com. Thank you very much, guys.